Sometimes you just have to go big.
I currently have 2.75 by 17 V-rubber tires on my Honda Trail 125.
As far as I know, this is the largest tire that will fit on the stock bike without having to adjust the fenders. I'm gonna throw some 3 by 17 Shinko Golden Boy tires on this Honda Trail. That'll make these wider and taller than the current 2.75s. Put the bike up on its center stand.
And add a bit of weight to the back of the bike so that it lifts the front wheel off the ground.
Use a 14mm wrench to hold the bolt and the 19mm wrench to remove the nut. There's a spacer on this side and on the other side. After this nut is removed, push the bolt back out through the other side. With the bolt removed, pull the wheel out of the vehicle. That's how you remove the front wheel from this Honda Trail.
Follow the link above for a video that describes the process of removing a tire from the rim.
Here are the two tires side by side for comparison. You can see how much taller and wider these 3.0s are versus the 2.75s. With the previous tires, I used the original tubes. This time I'm going up to a 2.75 to 3.0 by 17 tube. Here's a real useful tip. If you find that you have a bulge on your tire after you inflate it, right where the valve stem is, like I had, push your valve stem all the way up into the tire until you can just barely fill it up, and then that little ridge that the valve stem sits on won't fill the space until the bead is locked onto the rim, and then you won't have that issue any longer. After reassembling this, I'm torquing it down to 44 foot-pounds. I have that new Shinko tire on. It's quite wide, looks great. And you can see right up here is where your punch point is. You can see the little rubber stems can touch that impression. That's the lowest point, is right here where the fender bends in toward the tire, but it does not make contact. I'm going to throw some feeler gauges in there and just see exactly how much clearance we're talking about. Gap right here on the right hand side is as low as 75 thousandths of an inch. This is what it looks like. So not very much, less than 1/10 of an inch of clearance. So any pebble bigger than that is going to cause some problems. Likely the fender would bend away or the tire would give way, allow it to pass, so it probably wouldn't cause you to crash. However, if you got too big of a stone in there, it might be a problem. So what we have to do is we're going to have to adjust the location of this fender. We're going to take this fender and we're actually going to shift it upwards just a touch to allow more clearance just at that one point right where it digs into the tire.
Remove that fender while the tire is off the bike. That makes it a lot easier. For demonstration purposes, I left the tire in place just to show what it looks like.
I'm using a 10mm ratcheting wrench to take these two mounting points off of each side to remove that fender. And then we'll drill some holes in this and replace it with a little bit more clearance. I put a little mark where I'm going to start that new hole. That's 250 thousandths down, or 1/4 of an inch down from the center of the existing hole. Here it is all punched and drilled. I used a 1/4 inch drill for these holes since the screws are about 230 thousandths. Now with modified fender, look how much clearance we have. I can stick a full pinky up there, no problem. So let's measure it, see how we did. Give it lots of clearance for any stones. I was able to stick this many feeler gauges into that hole now. That's quite a bit. 321 thousandths versus the 75 thousandths that initially had. That gives plenty of clearance. Pretty happy with that modification.
That same linked video will show you how to remove and replace the tire on the rear. However, for the rear, there's no modification necessary on this motorcycle. I hope you enjoyed watching this. I'll catch you in the next video.